Right, here we go, heavy metals. Before we get into this, I just want to say that this video easily, because of the subject itself, it could easily be 2 hours long. It's not going to be, and I'm going to try and keep this as simple and as straightforward as I possibly can. However, I would say that everything I'm going to talk about today, there are also variables involved in this that we won't be able to cover in such a short space of time. The other thing that I would say to you is if your koi are normally very healthy and your pond's ecosystem works perfectly and you've got no issues, don't get involved in heavy metals. It can soon open up a can of worms that you'll start looking into, and you'll start fiddling with your pond and sometimes cause yourself more problems than you started out with. So if you've got no issues with heavy metals, leave it well alone. It's as simple as that. So heavy metals, the three we're going to look at today are copper, zinc and iron. There are lots of other heavy metals that at elevated levels within your water can cause you problems. They do exist within your water, source water and your pond water, but we're not going to look at those. The three we're looking at, like I say, are copper, zinc and iron. These three seem to be the ones that most people have issues with. So, things to look for. Copper and zinc, you will see very similar symptoms on your koi. First one generally tends to be that the koi is struggling to take on board oxygen, so the gills are working far harder than they need to be, or in serious cases it can even be that the koi are up on the surface actually gulping trying to take air in. What this is showing you is the gills are damaged, sometimes dead flesh on the gills, necrotic flesh, so the fish physically just cannot breathe as well as it should do, not being able to take in enough oxygen. The other thing is that the heavy metals do go into the koi's own system and can lead to kidney and liver function being lowered to such a level that eventually you just end up with kidney and liver failure. But generally what tends to happen is the koi dies of asphyxiation before you end up with organ failure. It's not very nice. Secondary things are that the koi will develop a very sickly layer, heavy layer of mucus. The fish will start flashing, being irritated, and it will open up wounds and things like that that can often get infected and lead to secondary problems over bacterial issues, etc. It can be just redness or raised scales. The fish can sometimes just be lethargic, lose its appetite and be tucked away in a corner. All things that you need to look at. First thing that obviously you would do would test your water quality, but if your water quality is, after testing, showing perfect, then that's absolutely fantastic. The next thing is to do scrapes and eliminate possibility of obviously parasitic infections, etc. But if you've done the water quality tests, they're good, and you've done parasite tests, scrapes, etc., and there are no parasites present, then generally the next thing you want to be doing is testing your water. So your normal test kit is not going to be sufficient for this, so you need to go online and look up a fabulous company called Enviro. They do water test kits that will test for things that you've probably never even heard of before. All we're interested in though is heavy metals. So these kits go up in price dependent on what you're testing for and how many things you want to test for. So look for the ones that will test for heavy metals containing obviously copper, zinc, etc. What happens is you purchase that online and the test kit will get sent to you in the post. When it arrives, you'll notice that you have your little bottles for putting your samples in, so you will be testing your source water, whether it be tap, well or whatever it might be, and also a sample from your pond's ecosystem. Those then get a little QR code that comes with the kit that gets stuck on those and sent back to the guys and girls at Enviro. Now you may wonder about the code. The reason for that is that links you, your email and those particular samples all together. So then the next thing that happens is the sample results will get sent to you via an email. Open your email, there's your test results. Really, really simple to understand and be able to work out. So before we get on to that, we've spoke about the way that copper and zinc will affect your koi. Iron, slightly different. It's more the particles of iron that irritate and will affect the koi in some of the similar ways that zinc and copper do, but it's mainly irritation from particles. So eventually, again, they get clogged on the gills won't work and function the same, so it can't take on copper, it can't take on oxygen the way it should do. The fish then takes on board the iron, and again it can lead to liver and kidney function being lowered, and sometimes to the point in fatal cases where you will get complete organ failure. It also leads to raised scales, red patchiness, irritation on the fish where it will flash, etc., and open up wounds, etc., that will then get bacterial, secondary bacterial problems. We all know that bacteria, we've spoke about this on a previous video, you can introduce bacterial problems to your pond, but sometimes bacterial issues come as a secondary to issues with heavy metals. So that's the way you will know and find out what the levels are in your pond. Now, you go online, you'll watch other videos, etc., and you will find all sorts of different levels given for maximum or safe levels of these particular metals. The ones that I will give you are the ones that I've always stood by and I've never had any issues with. So with copper, it wants to be no more than 5 parts per billion, and with zinc, a maximum of 50 parts per billion. It's as simple as that. These are maximum values. They're not where you want to be. They are maximum values. You need to be under those, okay? With iron, it is absolute zero. We don't want iron anywhere near the pond in any way, shape or form. So there are things that affect the different levels of these particular heavy metals. You'll often hear people talk about reaction between two heavy metals causing one to have an elevated level higher than we want it in the pond. This is often caused by, and this is the geeky part, one particular metal reacting with another because one is an anode and one acts as a cathode. So one gets protected while the other one dissolves faster than it would normally be due to the reaction, causing an elevated high level of that particular heavy metal. It can also be caused through a reaction if you've got salt in your pond. Salt acts as an electrolyte and can help break down certain metals faster than it would do without the salt being present, again causing a higher level of that particular heavy metal. It can also be caused between a difference in soft or hard water. So this is where you need to keep a nice stable environment for the koi. This helps with the reaction of heavy metals as well. So if it's an acidic water, then you will get certain metals break down faster and cause a higher level of that particular heavy metal within the ecosystem. So this is where we need to have a pH nice and stable between 7 to 8.5. KH needs to be between 6 and 8, and a decent level of general hardness. Again, you'll get different values when you look at things online, etc. I've always stood by these values and they've always done me well. It's as simple as that. So that's basically what is happening within your ecosystem. So now we need to remove these heavy metals. So there are different ways that you can do that. You can use chemical binders, Fish Protect and certain other products from different manufacturers. Fish Protect's not the only one, but there are many different products that you can buy from different manufacturers, and they all work the same. They are binders. So what they do, they cause the heavy metals within your ecosystem to bind to them, and then as they go through the filter system, the filter then picks up these clumps, holds them, and then the next time you clean your filter system, out goes the waste with the heavy metals with it. However, for me, the go-to that would always be is bone char. Bone char works in a slightly different way. It's a chemical reaction that binds the actual heavy metals to the bone char. Bone char doesn't last forever. It does need replacing. And basically, it's put the bone char in there. It then binds the heavy metals to it, and then after a certain period of time, dependent on the levels that you're testing at, take it out and replace it. A lot of people will say that bone char is expensive. It's not cheap. However, if it keeps your koi nice and healthy in your pond's ecosystem, you know, at a sensible level of heavy metals or virtually zero heavy metals, then bone char is not expensive at all, is it? So that's basically how it all works. Any problems, any issues, do get in touch with us through social media or the online telephone number, or come in store and see us. We'll always help you out with problems like this and get you back on the straight and narrow. Or you can look up a guy online called Andy Finch at Finch Filtration. This guy is one of this country's leading experts when it comes to filtration, particularly issues with heavy metals, etc. He's always got time for anybody that rings him with an issue. He will always get you sorted and get you back on the straight and narrow. He's a top guy. So that's Andy Finch from Finch Filtration. And the other one you need to remember is the guys and girls at Enviro for your test kit. Hope this has been informative. Hope you've enjoyed the video and it's not been too long for you. And we'll see you on the next one.